Well, today I want to talk about this knife right here. This is the Mora Eldris, all right? And this is the dedicated neck knife model from Mora. If you're not familiar, Mora Knives of Sweden. Very well known in the knife community for their affordable bushcraft style fixed blades. I mean, a lot of their fixed blades are anywhere from like 10 to 20 bucks. A lot of them come with Scandi ground blades. They offer them both stainless steel as well as carbon steel. They just come super sharp and very inexpensive, so they're a fan favorite. Anyone, especially people are getting into bushcrafting and wilderness survival type stuff, that's a go-to knife. It's always recommended by lots of different people. It's sold everywhere. It's a very well-known, popular, inexpensive, good quality fixed blade. So that being said, when the Eldris first hit the scene, being their dedicated neck knife, I knew I had to jump on one. And I wanted one so bad right away, but I was doing some other projects and working with some other knives at the time. So I just figured, it was in my radar, in the corner of my my knife vision for a long time, and finally have one now. I actually got two of them from Going Gear. They sell these for 25 bucks. You'll see these range anywhere from $20 to $40. So Going Gear does have them, on the lower end of the spectrum, a little bit more inexpensive there as opposed to other places. But you have to look at the details, because some of the places you'll see these listed for 40 or 50 bucks. They have like this separate sheath system, which has like a leather strap that comes around, which secures it even more so underneath here. And a lot of times those come with like a little ferrule rod too. So that's a different type of kit. So when you're buying the Eldris, look to see if it's a basic version of it or if it's that kind of extra bonus version with the leather strap. But yeah, this is the Mora neck knife. I'm a huge fan of Mora knives, always have been. Huge fan of neck knives, so it makes sense, right? Pretty cool. A lot to say about this one. When I first got this, I put it on right away. I made a adjustable neck lanyard for here. You can see in the sheath system, there's just a hole that goes across, or two holes essentially. So I just fed the cord through there, which, by the way, quick pro tip, when you're trying to get this to go through, the best thing to do is feed one side all the way down, come around, and then come back up to try to get through that other hole. I probably spent 10 or 15 minutes trying to do a straight pass across and could not get it. Just couldn't grab it. And then just realized that if I went straight down and out and then back in, it was a lot easier. So if you are putting some cord through here, quick tip. But yeah, threw on the lanyard and started carrying it right away. And after the first day of carry, I added this. This is does not come with the knife. This is a separate little lanyard that I made. Throw a bead on there. Thought it would match pretty nice. And it was very purposeful. It's not just for looks, although it looks kind of cool. It's because this is a short grip. Okay, you can see this is pressure fit into the sheath. All right, so basically right here around the miniature guard, I guess you can call that, as you push the knife forward, that kind of fits in place. All right, and it is pretty stiff fit. All right, so you're not going to have this thing fall out very easily, but when you want to grab it, it's kind of hard to get out. That's kind of what I'm getting to here, is that you don't have a whole lot of length of handle here. Not to mention, if you grab it like this, now you have to totally readjust your grip. So naturally what you want to do is get a normal grip on here, but not grab the sheath with the upper part of your hand. You want to kind of get a normal grip, but just grip, with the bottom part of your hand. So when you pull it out, you have a grip on it like you're going to use it. All right, so one of two types of people: either going to go like this and just fish out the knife and then have to fiddle with it, getting a comfortable grip. Or I think the better way to do it, if you have one of these things, is, like I said, come down like a full grip, but only grab it down with your pinky and ring finger. So when you do, draw it, you're ready to cut. You don't have to fiddle with it. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of handle there. So I felt like I really needed to throw this lanyard on here. I'm not a huge lanyard person. I like making lanyards on expensive knives because they look nice. It kind of, kind of a package deal. It's more presentation than function. I have used lanyards before on different knives to make them more functional, especially smaller knives, so I have more to grab. So in this case, again, when I try to get a full grip on this thing, if you could tell, but my middle finger here has a really good grip on the handle. My ring finger has kind of a half grip on it, but now that I have the lanyard on here, my pinky and ring finger have a secure grip on something that's attached to that knife. So when I draw it, there's more grip. So I kind of felt like that was a must-have for this particular knife. So that right off the bat, just not a huge fan of the fact that it's kind of hard to get out. It's pretty stiff getting the knife out, which is, again, it's a toss-up because no, it's not going to fall out easily, which is a good thing. But you know, you do want to be able to get it out easily, and just not having the grip there. It's kind of a downside of things. Now, so I carried it, realized, all right, I need a lanyard on here, threw the lanyard on, all right, that solved that problem. But here's the one reason why I stopped carrying this knife, and I didn't want to stop carrying this knife. I love this knife. I think it's cool. It's offering so much, but my biggest issue, and some people kind of figured this out without even having the knife. Some people made this assumption when they were talking about it, and I didn't really think much of it until after I started actually carrying this knife and had the exact problem that people said that they might have with it. And that is because of this profile being so round, so chunky. You can see this is a very large, chunky, very thick, girthy handle here, okay, with a tiny little blade. It's nice that even though you have a small blade, you have this full-size handle. I mean, once you get a good grip on this thing, it's not going anywhere. It fills out your completely fills out your hand. It just feels good. You have a very good, secure grip. However, because that's so big and round and chunky, and because of the sheath style here being kind of round, this is what happened. This is a POV. You're looking down. I'm wearing this as a neck knife, and this happens all day long. It twists and turns like an alligator. All right, it's just, I don't know which way my blade's facing ever because it's constantly turning on me, twisting and turning and rolling. So, one positive to this is that the sheath is ambidextrous. It goes in left or right-handed, okay, which is nice. However, when this thing is hanging from me and spinning around all day, I mean, I can look down, I can see if it's orientated how I want it to because of where the cord is. If I see, you know, a turn in the cord, I know it's flipped. But I was constantly, every day that I was carrying this thing, just rotating, making sure that it was straight the entire time. And there were a couple times where I just didn't notice it, and I went to go pull it out, and guess what? It's backwards. Is it a huge deal to have to go like that? No, it's not. However, if one of the reasons you carry a knife is a self-defense option, that may be something that means something to you. You know, the last thing you want to do in an offensive situation is grab the knife the wrong way, okay? Especially when it's a short, stubby blade like this, and you know, and your knife might be twisting around as it is. So, huge deal? No. But big enough deal to me to stop carrying this knife. Not because of the defensive situation. I don't really care about that. It was just annoying. That's it. There's no more, no less. It was just annoying that this thing would just rotate so much all day long. I'd reach down and do this and fix it. Because I can see from the cord, from looking down, what you know, which way the blade's facing. Now, when I have this how I want it to have it, being that I'm righty, I want to draw the knife and have the blade up. See what happened here? I actually put it in the wrong way. That was totally not planned. I want to draw the knife so that the blade is facing to my left. Okay, that's how I use a knife as a right-handed man. So this thing getting jumbled and mixed up and not knowing how my blade's gonna come out was annoying enough for me to stop carrying the knife. That, and in addition to, even though I put a lanyard on here, having less grip on there, and just being so chunky and big. It's a big knife to be a neck knife. Now, that being said, I've been carrying the cold steel spike, which is much larger, but it has a much flatter, smaller, narrower profile. Totally different. Even though that thing's overkill for a neck knife, and most people would never carry a neck knife that big, I found that to be way easier to carry than this. Being that it's rounded, it's constantly rolling on your chest. Okay, it's actually sitting off of your chest quite far, compared to a lot of neck knives from a side profile are quite flat and slim, and they sit flat on you. This does not sit flat. If this is your chest, it's large, cumbersome, okay? It's just one of those things. It just ends up being uncomfortable. That's the best way I can describe it, the most vague way I can describe it, is it's just an uncomfortable neck knife option. Now, that's me. I wear a neck knife every day, all day long. If you're just popping this thing on to go, you know, to your campsite or, you know, walk around a trail or something like that, you got a bunch of other gear on you, it's really not that much of an issue. I'm talking about an everyday, day in, day out neck knife. That's how I carry my neck knives every single day, everywhere I go, everything I do. So when I'm bending over, the thing's hanging, it's swinging, you know, it's twisting and turning on me. So that's why these issues were annoying to me. They may not matter much to you, but definitely food for thought. So that's why I stopped carrying it personally. But besides that, it is a pretty darn cool knife nonetheless. I still like it a lot. This is available in different colors. This is the black one, also comes in blue, and the sheath and handle do match. So it's black, blue, green, red, and I believe they also have a yellow one. The yellow one's actually pretty cool looking. It's kind of a mustard yellow. But the actual knife is very comfortable to hold. And what I do like about this, not considering a neck knife, but just as a knife as a whole, or in general, is even though you have a small blade here, blade's only 2.2 inches long, they still give you a nice big fat handle. It's very, very comfortable to hold this. There's no fatigue, especially if you're gonna be doing lots of woodwork, lots of cutting. It's a rubberized type handle here. It's hard to really express that, but this center part here is a hard plastic. You could tell from those noises. And then the grip all around it is rubber. Plastic? Rubber. Or at least rubberized. It's very, very stiff, very hard. There's not a lot of give there, but you can still tell it's rubbery. You know what I mean? So it locks in the hand very nicely. And being so wide and fat, it really fills out the palm. Okay, so when you're holding this, I mean, it feels like a hammer handle. You know what I mean? Like you have a substantial tool in your hand, even though the only thing poking out is a short little stubby blade. Speaking of the blade, this one has a 12C27 stainless. Kind of on the soft side. You will need to maintain this edge if you're going to use it a lot, especially for woodworking and such. Pretty interesting grind in here. We have a Scandi ground blade, but there's a second grind on the front end of this knife. And what that's doing is that's removing a lot of material there. So if you were to, you know, pinch this and slide down, you could feel, obviously this is a flat blade stock, right? And then there's your grind. It has a very thick wedge effect. I talk about this all the time. So when you're cutting this thing, you have resistance. By taking this second grind here, taking all that steel behind the shoulder away, much leaner towards the tip here. So when you're doing finer cutting, you have less resistance cutting into stuff, which is actually pretty darn cool. So when you want that strength, down here is where it's at. You get a nice, good locked grip, do your woodworking down low here, but when you want finer cutting, you have a much leaner edge towards the tip here, which is nice. As far as the actual point, not the pointiest of all knives, but it is certainly pointy enough. All right, and this thing did come razor sharp. Now this second grind here, it's really kind of uneven. You can see on the edge, the way that's shaped, it's kind of thinner right at this point, a little thicker towards the front. When I flip it over, you can see it's a little inconsistent on the other side. This side's a little bit more even. Just is what it is. You know, these aren't, it almost looks like it's hand done. You know, I don't know if someone's in a factory doing that, if it goes through a machine or what, but a little inconsistent there. It might bug you if you have some OCD or something, but for most people, they wouldn't care. But pretty interesting design. Just a little change of pace from the normal Mora and a normal Scandi ground blade. I love to see that style on some larger knives, you know, as well. But very, very lightweight, 2.8 ounces. I mean, the handle feels hollow. It feels very light, very simple. 5.6 inches overall. Of course, again, this lanyard is not included. But, you know, it's a fun little knife. You know, for 25 bucks, it's very cool to add to a collection. It is very functional. And again, if you want a nice little neck option, you want to walk around like Cody Lundin and sport your little Mora around your neck, it's a cool option for that. But for me, again, my purpose with this knife is day in and day out, like 24/7. If I'm not sleeping, I have a neck knife on. And carrying it like that for a long time, I mean, it did not take long for me to just get annoyed at the fact that this thing was twisting and turning so much. It's just so rounded. It's all chunky, rounds, a little bit cumbersome, a little bit uncomfortable. That was my gripe with this one. But yeah, I mean, if it's not a daily necker for you, it's a pretty cool knife and definitely worth the price tag in my opinion. Little blade, but still a lot of capability. So pretty darn cool. That is my opinions on the Mora Eldris. Very cool. Let me know down below what you think of yours. I see there are a lot of people making custom sheath systems for this, and again, that like leather strap that goes on to the you know, the stock sheath here is a pretty cool option as well. But there you go. A lot of you guys have this knife, so let me know, you know, down below in the comment section what you think of yours, any alterations you may have made to it, and if you do carry it as a neck knife, let me know. Do you carry it day in and day out? What are some of the issues that you have with yours? But that's basically what it comes down to for me. A lot of better options, thinner profile knives, a lot more comfortable to carry as far as every single day, all day long. So there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.